Sifu Lamar Davis II. I would like to welcome you to my series on Bruce Lee's martial art, Jun Fan Jeet Kune Do Complete. The purpose of these instructional videos is to go more in depth than anyone previously has into the study of Bruce Lee's fighting method. In these tapes, not only will you see the how, but you'll see the why and the when. Most of you have probably seen books and other instructional videos on Jeet Kune Do. Certain elements of these books, certain elements of these videotapes probably sort of left you in the dark. You could not tell by the photo sequences how the technique would actually be applied, or you could not tell by the video all the various ways that a technique could be used. In this series, we will go extremely in depth onto all areas of training. My background in Bruce Lee's fighting method goes back to the mid-70s. I trained with 8 of Bruce Lee's original students. I'm very familiar with the material from the Seattle period, the Oakland period, and the Chinatown period. I've written articles for Black Belt, Inside Kung Fu, Inside Karate, with many more to come. In 1991, I was inducted into the World Martial Arts Hall of Fame as the Jun Fan Jeet Kune Do Instructor of the Year. I think you'll see when you watch these tapes that myself and my students definitely know what we're doing. I think you'll learn a lot from the tapes if you study them carefully and train hard. I'm the Executive Director of the United States Jeet Kune Do Alliance. If you're not already a member and you are seriously interested in Bruce Lee's fighting method, membership is something that you may want to consider. Student membership is only $25 per year, renewable each year in the month that you originally joined. You get a newsletter, you get special offers, discounts on instructional videotapes like this one, and many other things that are not open to outsiders. We also have training camps each year, usually 2 or 3 times a year, for anyone who's interested in becoming an instructor of Jun Fan Jeet Kune Do. We promote the original method as taught by Bruce Lee. Where Bruce Lee died, that's where we end. We do, however, encourage, once you have completed our program, if you would like to go out on your own and maybe even go into the concepts route, that's fine. But many people were never given the chance to learn what Bruce Lee originally had to offer. That's the purpose of the United States Jeet Kune Do Alliance. We want to give you that chance. If you're interested in membership, you can write to me, Sifu Lamar Davis II, at 267 West Valley Avenue, suite number 223, Birmingham, Alabama, zip code 35209. We will send you an application and we will send you some information. If you would like to call about seminars or membership, area code 205-664-5425. You'll reach the office of my training academy, the Fighting Dragons Chinese Martial Arts Academy, which is the most complete Chinese martial arts training facility in the state of Alabama. If you're interested in USJKDA membership, please contact me and become a part of everything that we're doing. I would like to talk to you a little bit about the history of Jun Fan Kung Fu and Jeet Kune Do. As most of you probably already know, Bruce Lee started out training in the system of Wing Chun. He trained in Hong Kong under the tutelage of Yip Man and 2 of his primary students, Wong Shun Lung and Chung Chuk Hing. Most of you know Chung Chuk Hing as William Chung. When Bruce first came to the United States, what he taught was primarily Wing Chun with a little bit of kicking and other techniques from some of the other systems of Chinese Kung Fu, primarily Northern style Chinese Kung Fu kicking, due to the fact that most of the kicking in the Wing Chun system consisted of from the waist down. Bruce wanted to broaden his kicking and make his use of the legs much more functional for combative purposes. During the Seattle period, Bruce taught such prominent people as Taki Kimura, Jesse Glover, James DeMille, Joseph Cowles, who was one of my instructors. Today, you can closely see what Bruce was teaching during the Seattle period by watching such people as Jesse Glover. Jesse has a series of tapes out that are excellent that cover certain aspects of non-classical Chinese Kung Fu. Jesse was also one of my instructors. When Bruce left the Seattle period, the Oakland period began. He resided in Oakland, California with James Yim Lee, who became one of his most ardent students. James Lee was responsible for building a lot of the training equipment that later was made famous by Bruce. During the Oakland period, you saw the addition of several techniques from boxing. You saw the addition of some fencing footwork and fencing defensive theory. You also saw some elements from certain other aspects of martial arts integrated into Jeet Kune Do. Basically, it was the Oakland period which the term Jeet Kune Do came into use. From the Oakland period, Bruce went to LA Chinatown and opened a school there. From the Chinatown period, certain prominent students that you will recognize would be Dan Inosanto, Ted Wong, Jerry Poteet, Daniel Lee, people of this nature. During this period, Jeet Kune Do reached its highest level of development and became a very, very, very combative system, as it always had been, but some of you have probably heard of a conflict that Bruce had during the Oakland period that forced him to make some changes in the original Junfan Kung Fu. Thus, Jeet Kune Do was born. Many people have referred to Jeet Kune Do as Chinese Kung Fu. Many people have referred to it as Chinese kickboxing. That's not really the important thing here. The important thing is that you realize that it was the method founded by Bruce Lee. Now, in this series of tapes, I intend to cover the techniques from the Seattle period, the Oakland period, and the LA Chinatown period in depth. Tapes in this series will be basics, like basic foundation movements, which will cover stance, defensive theory, basic concepts, things of that nature. You will see a technique on tape on hand techniques, a tape on kicking techniques. You'll see tapes on the 5 ways of attack, basic trapping, advanced trapping, energy and sensitivity training, Siong Chi Sao, which is the double arm sticking. You'll see a tape on Siong Chi Sao with trapping and grappling. You'll see a tape on basic Jeet Kune Do self-defense techniques. You'll see a technique on grappling, a tape on grappling and counter-grappling. So these are some of the tapes that you'll see in this series. If you study them closely, you can learn quite a bit. And hopefully, if you acquire the entire series, you will be able to obtain a much more complete knowledge of Bruce Lee's art than you have at the present time. I think you'll enjoy the series, and I'm looking forward to working with you, and I hope that I can meet all of you in person one day and train you one-to-one. At this point, we'll get started. Welcome to Junfan Jeet Kune Do Complete, Volume 3, Upper Body Tools. In this tape, we will discuss the weapons used with the upper body in Junfan Jeet Kune Do. We're going to start with the basic Jeet Kune Do straight punch. Okay, we have a few variations of this punch. We have one that is for power and penetration, and we have another that is for speed and snap. Okay. To execute the basic Jeet Kune Do straight punch, you start in the on guard position. The lead hand will fire the punch. Now, as the fist Here's the target. The hand closes tightly. You strike, you arc, and you return. So, fired slowly, it looks like this. Okay, now, this arc is what we refer to as the shortened arc. This allows you to get more power into the punch. Okay, you might be thinking, how can this help you get more power? Okay, by shortening the arc at the completion of the punch, the fist never stops. You strike through the target and you return, but you never have that stop-start motion seen in most punches. So, the shortened arc increases the power of the punch by allowing the flow to continue through the target. It also helps with your retraction speed because you can return immediately to the on-guard position. Okay? You return immediately to the on-guard position. Okay, the other punch that we use is more like a jab. It's for speed and snap. Just goes straight out, straight back. Now this one does have the stop-start motion. It stops and starts. Stops on impact and starts to come back. Okay? But like I said, this is more for speed and execution. This is good for like breaking the nose, popping the mouth, something like that. Okay, so that one is just there. Okay? Alright, now I'll show you these punches from the side. From the fighting on guard position, the power punch will come out through the target, shortened arc, and return to the on guard position, like so. Notice that the whole body gets into the punch. I push from the raised rear heel, I torque the waist and the hips, the lead knee turns inward, the arm pushes out from the shoulder, the arm extends, the fist goes through the target, and returns to the on guard position. In this way, the whole body gets into the punch. In Jeet Kune Do, we never punch with just the arm. We never kick with just the leg. We punch with the body, we kick with the body. In other words, every time we strike, the body goes into the strike, using proper body mechanics. Okay, the short, quick, straight punch, straight out, straight back. Just follows a straight line, right up the center, and straight back, like so. Okay, I haven't done any of these really fast yet, because if I'm going to really put something into it, I like to have a target. At this time, I'll be joined by my assistant, Mr. Mark Turkwitt. He's going to hold a focus glove for me, and I'm going to demonstrate both of these strikes from various angles. Okay, notice that Mark is going to hold the focus glove approximately head height, and it's going to have a slight slant to it, just a slight slant, okay? Now, I'm going to stand in the fighting on guard position. I'm going to measure off so that I'm almost at extension when my fist strikes the glove. This is the basic glove holding position for working the power straight punch or the snapping straight punch. Okay, first of all, I'll warm up by throwing a few slow ones, which will give you a chance to look at the form a little bit better. Okay, now we'll speed it up a little bit. Okay, notice the power that we get in the strike. Also notice the immediate return of the hand to the on guard position. This is very important. Okay, now we'll do the speed strike. Okay, this is just the snapping straight punch. Straight out, straight back. Do a few slow ones so you can examine the form, then we'll speed it up a little bit. Okay, now we'll speed it up. Notice the body still gets into the punch. Not quite to the extent that we have with a power punch, but the body does still get into the punch. Okay, now we're going to change the angle. Let you see it from a different angle. First, the power punch. Okay, now the speed punch. Okay, notice that with both punches, you don't see a retraction before the strike. In other words, when I fire these punches, I don't pull back before striking. Why? Because that is telegraphic. In Jeet Kune Do, we try to avoid all telegraphic motion. So, instead of being here, it's just here. Okay? See the difference? Okay, now we'll give you still yet another angle on this strike. First, the power punch. Okay, now the speed jab. Okay, thank you, Mark. Now, the first punch is for power. You can knock someone out with that punch. The second punch is for speed. Later on in the tape on trapping hands, and also later on in this tape when I show some combinations, I'll explain the reason that we have a speed straight punch and the power straight punch. Okay, in the next segment, we'll talk about the leading finger jab. In this segment, we're going to discuss Jeet Kune Do's leading finger jab. In Jeet Kune Do, one of the primary guidelines, one of the primary concepts behind the initial attacking structure is to use the longest weapon to the nearest target. The Jeet Kune Do finger jab does just that. That gives you more reach than any other hand striking tool that you have because of the extension of the fingers and because of the relaxed position at the completion of the strike. That gives you more extension. See it from some different angles. My hand is moving straight up the center. All I'm doing is opening my hand, tucking my thumb. My fingers are loose and separated. Okay, we have basically two types of finger jabs. The first one is with the fingers loose and separated. That one goes to the eyes. Notice the upward tilt of the hand. during the strike. See that upward tilt? If you were to miss the eyes and accidentally strike the forehead, the hand could still collapse and you could smash the nose with the palm, which I'll demonstrate in just a little while. The finger jab is not a strike of power, it's a strike of speed. Your goal is not to gouge your opponent's eyes or put their eyes out. That is not your goal. Your goal is to momentarily disable the opponent. Now, everyone knows that the eyes are very sensitive to any type of touch. So, you want to just put a little quick shot in there that's just going to tap those eyeballs. Now what that's going to do, that's going to disorientate them for a few seconds anyway, probably a few minutes, depending on the degree of the strike. Okay? Now, during this time, while they're suffering from that temporary blindness and watering of the eyes and burning of the eyes, they're yours. You can do basically whatever you want to. If the situation warrants no further attack, you can leave. If that's what you would like to do, you can leave. Okay? However, during that moment of blindness when the strike comes in, when that strike comes in and taps those eyes, basically the opponent is yours. You can do whatever you want to at that time. Okay, now, my assistant, Mr. Mark Turkwood, will join me, and I'm going to demonstrate the finger jab fired against the target. Okay, notice the target has eyes drawn on it. Okay, now Mr. Turkwood is going to lean the pad back slightly. Now this area right here would represent the bridge of the nose, that angle right there. Okay, so I'll show you a few finger jabs here. I'll do a few slow, then I'll do a few with a little bit of speed. Okay, from the on guard position, straight out, straight back. Very important that the thumb is tucked. Very important. You don't want it sticking out there so that it can get jammed or broken. Slight upward tilt of the hand, like so. Okay, now I'll speed it up a little bit, and you can see what it looks like on a faster load. Okay, as you see, it's in and out very quick. A lot of people, when they train this finger jab, they make the mistake of turning the wrist, and they have to rotate the wrist into the strike. That's excess time during the delivery of the strike. That's also telegraphic. From the basic fighting on guard position, that shot can come straight in with no problem, no telegraph, no setup, just straight in. Okay? That's another important element to remember about the leading finger jab. Okay, now remember, longest weapon to the nearest target. Okay, the other type of finger jab that we have is designed to fire straight into the throat, like so. This finger jab is like a spear. The fingertips pressed together. The longest finger, which is going to be the middle finger, is going to be the tip of the spear. The fingers pressed together, the thumb tucks. Okay, as you see, with this position, the fingertips give sort of a point. That point is designed to fit right into the hollow of the throat. So this time, from the on guard position, just straight in, direct delivery, firing to the throat, like so. Notice the directness of the strike. So, on an opponent, I would be aiming for the hollow area of the throat, like so. You got to train this so that you can form it immediately. In the in the heat of combat, you don't have the time to go, excuse me, hold on, let me press my fingers together. Okay, now I'm ready. You don't have time to do that. You've got to learn to put this together from the on guard position immediately, from here to here. So train that. That's very important. You have to be able to close those fingers, make that point immediately, like so. Okay? Now, this finger jab is somewhat more rigid than the first that we discussed. Now, you notice in the first, I was talking about how you could collapse the hand if you miss the eyes and hit the forehead and still get the nose. Okay? That is if you have a slight upward tilt to the wrist and the fingers remain loose. With the fingers loose, there's very little chance of jamming the fingers with this strike. So you want to be here, and if you miss and strike the forehead, you slide right in and palm the nose. Okay, now this can break the nose rather easily. Okay, now just like before with the straight punch, the body torques into this strike. Okay, the body torques into it. That's very important to get the body into the strike. But remember, the finger jab is primarily for speed. Okay. Now, when firing the finger jab, several points to remember. Good on guard position. Do not pre-form the strike. Okay? Do not pre-form the strike. Because if I'm here and my fingers are extended, my opponent sees that and he says he's going to finger jab me. Okay, so I want this position. If you saw volume 1, you remember me referring to this as a non-telegraphic hand position. Okay? You can't tell what I'm going to do, and you know I'm not going to hit you with this. So, from here, I form the finger jab as I go in. I don't pre-form the technique and fire it in. It's here, and it was there, okay? Just like that. Notice that the guard hand covers during the strike. It's very important. Inside shoulder, below the chin. So that's the basic leading finger jab. That's the longest hand weapon that we have in Jun Fan Jeet Kune Do. It's a very important strike. Work it, concentrating on the speed and the non-telegraphic movement on the initial delivery. Now we'll move on to the next segment. In this sequence, we're going to work on what we refer to as a quachua, or back fist. Okay, now, there are several variations possible for the back fist strike. There's a whipping back fist, and there's a short arc back fist, and then Jesse Glover has what he refers to as the big back fist. Okay, now, although we don't necessarily advocate the so-called big back fist, I am going to show it to you because I want you to train it, because it is a good way to train power and to train torque into the waist and the hips. Okay, to start off with, I'll show you the most direct back fist that we have, which is just the snapping or whipping back fist. Okay, from the on guard position, this strike goes straight out and straight back. Notice how the body, the waist, the hips torque into the strike as it is delivered. Okay, so from here to here and back. Okay, the important thing is not to draw back, just very direct delivery. Like so. Okay, that is what we refer to as a whipping back fist. That's the most direct back fist that we have. It's just out and back. It's designed for speed. Good targets for this strike are the jaw hinge, the nose, and the temple. Okay? Also, a whipping back fist can be fired low, like so. From here, just torque the waist and the hips and fire it low. It's a good entering move when closing the gap. Good entering move when closing the gap. Bruce used to refer to this as asking for the hand. When he would come in like this and someone would block down, that would give him a response to follow through with something else. Okay, another back fist that we have is what we refer to as the short arc back fist. Now, remember when we were talking about the power straight punch and how the short arc adds to the power of the punch? It's the same way with the shortened arc back fist. The shortened arc adds to the power of the back fist because it enables the fist to continue through the target and return on an elliptical path to the on guard position. So this time, instead of whipping like so, we fire through and return like so. Shortening the arc as we go through the target. Shorten the arc as you go through the target. Okay, like so. Alright, now, this particular strike would most often be used as some type of follow-up or in a combination sequence where you were maybe in a hand tracking situation and you found yourself at a good range to apply this short arc back fist. Okay, I was talking at the beginning of this sequence about the big back fist that Jesse Glover teaches. This back fist comes from a position where the hand is under the arm and by the ribs of the rear side. You torque out of it and just swing the back fist full power into the target and shorten the arc on impact, like so. You get a lot of power this way because you definitely get the whole body into the strike. But as you can see, it's a bit telegraphic. So if we were to use this, it would be used in a situation where we had maybe hit the person maybe 3 or 4 times already. And this would be just another hit in the sequence going off of the energy flow from the movement pattern. Okay, one use that we have for this particular big back fist, or the concept of this big back fist, is off of a hook punch coming into the lower part of the body, like the rib solar plexus area. You can shorten the arc on that hook too and pull it in from that position. Go with that big back fist, shortening the arc, striking to the kidneys. Okay, so you're here. Now while you're over here, you might as well bring that back in and strike with that big back fist, shortening the arc, hitting the kidneys. That'll be demonstrated to you later on. Okay, now I'll be joined by my assistant, Mr. Mark Turquit. He'll have a focus glove, and we're going to demonstrate how to train these back fists on a focus glove. Okay, now this time, my target is going to be slightly angular. Okay, it's going to be about head high. Now first I'm going to demonstrate the whipping back fist. Now, this is the back fist that's designed for speed. This is to get you in and get you out very quickly. This is the one that the primary targets are the nose, the jaw hinge area, and the temple. Of course, if you got a good clean shot at the eye, you can put it into the eye also. Okay, so this is what this will look like. The important thing to remember here is not to retract before the strike. No pre-strike intentions should be shown, because if you pull back, your opponent sees this and it gives him time to set up for your strike or to get out of the way. So this is what it should look like. From the basic on guard position, notice once again, the body gets into the strike. That's very necessary. You don't just go and put the arm out there. The body gets into it. Okay? That is the whipping back fist. Okay? Show it to you from another angle. Okay, that is the whipping back fist. It's designed for speed. It does hit with power. You do put the body behind it, but it whips in there fast and hard. So it's straight in, straight out, right out, and right back. Okay? The next back fist that we're going to talk about is what we refer to as the shortened arc back fist. On this strike, you start off just like before, except for you swing through, shortening the arc and returning to the on guard position. So we're here, we shorten the arc, and we return. So this time, instead of striking out and returning immediately, we fire that punishing, penetrating, short arc back fist, going through the target and return to the on guard position. Mark will join me now with a focus glove, and I'll show you what it looks like. Show you a side view first, and then we'll give you an angular view. Okay, remember, the idea here is not to strike at the glove like before, but to strike through the glove with maximum power. So we shorten the arc, so it's still a short, quick movement, but the hand strikes through the glove, arcs, and returns to the on guard position as opposed to straight out, straight back. Okay, this is what it looks like. I'll do a few slow so you can see the form, then I'll speed it up. Okay, now we'll speed it up a little bit. Okay, notice this time I strike through the glove instead of just at the glove. Now we'll show you another angle. Okay, that is the short arc back fist. The other back fist that I mentioned is what Jesse Glover refers to as the big back fist. This back fist comes, as I said earlier, from underneath the armpit, fires in fast and hard through the target and returns to the on guard position. Mark? Okay, as I said earlier, we don't use this very much, but it does have some functional use during a combination sequence. Notice how hard it hits. Okay, that's the big back fist. Notice how the body torques hard into the strike. I won't show you another angle on that one. But like I said earlier, that comes into play well after a hook. You can fire back in to the kidney area. Hook to the ribs, follow through, shortening the arc on the hook, then hard back fist to the kidney area, which sets you up immediately for a straight punch. Okay, in the next sequence, I'll demonstrate the lead hand hook. In this sequence, we're going to cover what's referred to as the leading hook punch. This is the hook punch fired off the lead hand from the fighting stance. Turn into it, fire it, return immediately to the on guard position. Notice how pivot on the ball of the rear foot, torque the waist and the hips, lead knee turns inward. The whole body goes into the punch, through the center and return. It's also possible to shorten the arc on a hook and make it even more economical. As it strikes the target, shorten the arc, pulling the fist in toward the shoulder. And you make it even more economical. Another way to use the lead hook is what's referred to as a cutting hook. This hook cuts into the line, and it's more of a slamming movement done from the shoulder, slamming the forearm into your opponent's lead arm to knock it down as you cut with the fist into your target. That's another way to fire a lead hook. Of course, the lead hook can also work to the body, like so. Okay, Mark will join me now, and we'll demonstrate the lead hook on the focus glove, and just as before with the other techniques, we'll show you some different angles. Okay, the glove is right on the center line, directly in front of you. I'll do a few slow so you can check the form, then I'll speed it up. Notice how the lead foot also gets into the pivot action. So actually the whole body is getting in on this punch. This punch has knockout power. Rarely ever is the lead hook used as an initial strike. It's usually one punch in a combination. Usually it's followed by two punches or two hand strikes. Occasionally you might see a hook thrown as the second strike, but more than likely it's going to be the third or fourth strike in a combination sequence. Speed it up a little bit now. Very important when you fire this hook that the wrist is straight. A bent wrist can get your wrist broken on this strike. Good straight wrist coming into the strike. You can go with fist position this way or this way. Either way or in between, whatever is more comfortable to you. Here, here, or here, whatever is more comfortable to you. Now I'll show you a different angle on that. Okay, now, let me use Mark's arm for just a second. The cutting hook cuts in and down, firing the fist into the face hard as you cut across. So that's the difference in the cutting hook and the normal hook punch that we fire. In the next sequence, we cover what is referred to as the straight lead to the body. In this sequence, we'll demonstrate the straight lead to the body. Okay, normally the straight lead is fired with a vertical fist. That's very important. Vertical fist with the elbow in and down. Okay, now when firing low, the fist turns over to a horizontal position because it's somewhat awkward to fire a low straight punch with a vertical fist. So we allow the fist to turn to the horizontal position. Notice the rear hand cover on the strike. This is usually done with a step off the lead foot as you fire it in. Now, this can be a very punishing blow. Be a very powerful blow. Okay, Mark will join me again, and we'll demonstrate this straight lead to the body and show you a few different angles on it. Okay, it's really hard to train this on a glove, so to show you the effectiveness of the strike, I'm simply going to use Mark as a target. I'm not going to hit him too hard though. Okay, now my target for this is going to be the lower ribs, or if he's turned square to me, like if I were to catch him in transition, stepping through or something, I could fire it into the solar plexus or the lower abdominal region. And in extreme cases, I could drop low and fire it into the groin. Okay? But this is the straight lead to the body. Okay, on guard. All right, now Mark's going to assume a left lead. Okay, come a little closer. All right, now I'm going to demonstrate how this straight lead to the body would work. Okay, if I can catch this area open, which I could do some type of feint or fake to draw to get this area open, then I could fire the straight lead to the body. From the on guard position, I would push off the raised rear heel, just slight stutter step with the lead foot, and fire the shot in there. Okay? So, I'm here, I'm here. Notice the rear hand covering. That's very important. That way, if something were to come at me while I'm moving in, I'm ready for it. Okay? So, from here to here. That's the straight lead to the body. Now I'll show you a different angle on it. On guard. A little bit more. There we go. Okay, now, if he blocks this strike, when it comes in, I check and counter. Okay? But if it lands, it's going to look like this. Like so. That is the Jeet Kune straight lead to the body. In the next sequence, we're going to go over to some rear hand techniques, and I'm going to cover the rear hand straight punch. In this sequence, I'm going to demonstrate the rear hand straight punch and the straight rear punch to the body. Okay. From the fighting on guard position, this punch fires straight out. Notice the waist, the hips. First thing, pivot on the ball of the rear foot, push from the raised rear heel, torque the waist and the hips into it. It goes out with a vertical fist, like so. Notice the lead hand coming into the cover position as the punch goes out. This is very important. You shouldn't drop the hand. It goes for all your punches, no matter what it is. You shouldn't drop the hand. The hand should always be covering. So, for the rear straight punch, from the on guard position, out and back. Full body torque going into it. You can shorten the arc a little bit and pull it in if you want to. Okay, so from here, like so. Okay, from the side, like so. Okay, now Mark will join me with a focus glove. We'll show you how you train the strike on the glove. I'll do a few slowly so you can see the form, then we'll speed it up. Okay. Notice a lot of times I'm stepping off the lead foot. You'll see that a lot when firing the straight rear. By the way, in Jeet Kune Do, the rear straight punch is also referred to as a cross. Okay, now we'll speed it up a little bit, put some power behind the strike. Okay, show you another angle. Once again, from the fighting on guard position. A lot of times it's good to just kind of move around a little bit, loosen up, pause a little bit between techniques. It makes every punch fresh, alive, and new. Okay, that's the straight rear punch. Okay, now we're going to talk about the lead straight punch to the body. Okay, this time from the on guard position, torque through, fire low. A lot of times on this we'll use a cross hand cover like so. Once again, since we're firing low, we go from vertical fist to horizontal fist. Here, here. Instead of trying to get it in there vertical and being in an awkward position. Okay. Mark will join me now. Now I'll demonstrate this punch to you. On guard. Now see, the reason I've got a cross covered here, a lot of times the way this is used is against the opponent's straight punch fired off their left side. When he fires, I angle off and get my rear straight in to the body. Like so. My target is going to be the floating rib, solar plexus area. That's where I'm striking with this. Okay. Now, just the strike by itself, it'll look like this. Of course, I can't put it in there real hard, but you get the idea. In the next sequence, we're going to cover what is referred to as a half-knuckle fist. In this sequence, we're going to demonstrate what's referred to as the half-knuckle fist. Chinese terminology for this is chop choi. In a later tape on entering drills, you'll see a couple of drills that are referred to as chop choi, hua choi. Hua choi is back fist. So what we're doing in these entering drills, we're going from the chop choi or half knuckle fist to the kwa choi, which is the back fist. Okay, the chop choi is formed like so. In a traditional martial art, this would probably be referred to as a leopard's paw or leopard's fist. Strike with these knuckles right here, and the hand is formed in a very tight position with the thumb tucked to the side, and it's fired on a straight line. Low, the hand position forms just before striking, like so. So we're working once again on the center line. Now this strike is designed to go to the ribs. These knuckles are designed to strike the ribs. Now, what will normally happen when this strikes, these knuckles will inevitably go between the ribs, causing great pain because of the separation of the ribs from the half-knuckle strike. Now, this is a penetrating strike. Of course, when I demonstrate it with Mark, I won't be able to penetrate, but I can at least show you what it would look like if you were to put it to use. So Mark will join me now, and we'll show you a couple of different angles for this strike. On guard. Okay. Mark is normally right side, power side. I'm letting him take a left lead so you have a better view of where the strike is going in. Okay. From here, I may step or I just may lean into it when I strike, depending on his range. Now, he could be moving in to me with a lead straight punch, and I might hit him with it here as he moves in, like so. Okay? But that would not be the normal use for this. Like I said, the normal use for this is on entry. You fire low to the ribs. Okay, now, if I get a defensive motion against this, I trap immediately. Okay, so what we're doing, we're here, he blocks down, I block out, which is grabbing hand, switch over from here, hinging into the quachoi or backfist. So this is the chop choi, quachoi entering technique. If you want to lock opposite lead, he blocks down on it with this hand when I fire the strike. This time I do a pox out. So we got chop choi to quachoi with a pox out in the middle. Okay? So that's how this particular strike would normally be used. Once again, striking with half knuckles to separate the ribs. Now we'll show you a slightly different angle. Okay? From here, I step in and I fire straight into the lower ribs with the half-knuckle fist. Once again, I can't strike hard, but I can give you some idea of how it works. Okay, in the next sequence, we're going to talk about what is referred to as a hammer fist. In this sequence, we're going to demonstrate what is referred to as a hammer fist. This is another what we consider secondary striking technique in Jantan Jeet Kune Do. It's not used that often. The fist is formed very tightly using the base of the hand, the edge of the hand, like a hammer, like so. Striking hard with the edge of the hand, like a hammer. Okay. This is a technique that there aren't that many ways to train it as far as having something to hit with it. You can put a Wing Chun wall bag full of sand or dried beans or something of that nature up on some concrete blocks or on a solid table or something and strike repeatedly into it with a hammer fist to condition the hand. While you're working with the Muk Jam or the Wing Chun dummy, there are certain ways that you can work a hammer fist into the training. But as far as focus glove training, it's not real practical to work the hammer fist on a focus glove unless you're doing a back fist sort of hammer fist, which looks like this. Now that can be trained on the focus glove. It's just like a back fist, except for it uses the hammer fist to strike. Okay, so it's like you're pounding with a hammer. Another use we have for this is when the opening occurs on the low line to the rear, we can fire a hammer fist hard into the kidney. That's a very painful strike. You can fire downward and to the rear, like so, into the groin. That's a very painful strike. Off of certain trapping combinations on the high line, you can fire a hammer fist in a downward direction onto the jaw. That is a very painful strike. You can also come straight over in a certain combination and smash the nose with a hammer fist. That is an extremely painful strike. Hammer fist can be delivered to the collarbone. You can break the collarbone rather easily with a good hard hammer fist. Another use that we have for this hammer fist is sometimes during a trapping sequence or during a grappling sequence, we will lock the arm out and come across with the mid forearm with a hand in a hammer fist position to tighten the forearm up so that when you hit the arm in the barred out position to break it, you have a good solid striking surface to strike the arm with. Okay, Mark will join me now and I'll demonstrate the positioning for some of these strikes. This is another one of those cases where I can't hit him real hard, but I can at least show you how the strike comes into the body when delivered. Okay, if I'm striking to this region here, to the jaw, to the side of the nose, or to the temple with a back fist type movement, it's going to look like so. And if this hammer fist is conditioned, it's a very punishing strike, very damaging, almost guaranteed to break something. Okay, in extreme close range, in a trapping sequence, I could fire the hammer fist into the collarbone to break the collarbone. That's not a very pleasant feeling either. Or in another trapping sequence, I could fire the hammer fist straight into the nose or the mouth. Okay, that's not very pleasant. So we might be here, we might be here, and I might fire it in here. Okay. During another trapping sequence, I may lock, punch, lock, break. Now, here's where the forearm comes into it with a hand in a hammer fist position to tighten up the forearm so that you break it rather easily. Okay? Alright, also, in some sequences, I may, when the punch comes in, I may parry and I may smash the groin with a hammer fist. So when the punch comes in, see, I might be right into there with a hammer fist. Now from here, I can come up and break the arm. Once again, tightening the fist as I come up to make the top of the forearm tight so that I dislocate the arm rather easily. Now I could also quickly hinge and strike to the head with a hammer fist from here. Okay, earlier you heard me say that a hammer fist can work well to the kidneys. Left lead? Okay, if he fires a lead punch in and I parry it, I can fire here into the solar plexus with it, or I could on the initial move fire right into the kidneys with a hammer fist. Let's just you see this from the other side. Okay, he fires the punch in. Okay, right there, right into the kidneys with that hammer fist. Or against the same punch, right into the elbow, right into the nose. Okay, those are just some examples of how the hammer fist works. Now we'll move on to the next sequence. In this sequence, I'm going to demonstrate the uppercut and the shovel hook. These two strikes somewhat resemble each other. The difference being that the uppercut comes straight into the line. It just cuts into the line and goes straight up like so. The shovel hook cuts into the line and goes straight in. So the uppercut is a vertical movement. The shovel hook runs parallel with the floor as it comes out. So for an uppercut, you're here or here. For a shovel hook, you're here or here. Notice on the shovel hook, the fist is positioned in an inverted position. The forearm is lined up parallel to the floor. The elbow stays close to the hip at all times. That way, the torque power from the waist and the hips goes directly into the strike, making for a very solid, penetrating, damaging strike. Primary targets for this are the rib solar plexus region and the kidneys. Of course, the uppercut goes into the chin or the jaw. Or, if you've already done something to double them over, like say a straight kick to the groin, and they double over, you might get a chance to fire an uppercut into the throat, which is a very damaging blow, and most of the time will end the fight immediately. Some people would consider that a bit drastic though, so you might not want to do that. Okay, so uppercut, shovel hook. Uppercut, uppercut, shovel hook, shovel hook. Either one can work off of either side, as most of these strikes can. Okay, Mark will join me now with a focus glove, and we'll demonstrate the shovel hook and the uppercut. Okay. Mark's going to hold the glove like so, with the glove about solar plexus height. Okay, now this is where we prefer to train the uppercut. Different instructors prefer to teach the uppercut different ways, but I like to teach it with a glove like so, because this teaches the student to bend the knees, drop the body weight, get the body up under it, and bring the strike in. Okay, when you do this uppercut, you concentrate on, when you penetrate the target, don't go like this, because then you're exposing your entire lead side. So you want to just fire it in there and stop it. Going right back to the on guard position. Now, when you deliver this strike, just like in the hook punch, it's very important that the wrist remain straight. On an uppercut, especially working against a focus glove, a bent wrist can mean a broken wrist. So you want to make sure when you fire this uppercut that the wrist remains straight. That's very important. And I tell my students to use the eyebrows as a height to measure where the punch should stop. Okay, so you might want to try that and see if it works for you. Okay, Mark will put the glove on the other hand now. We'll talk a little bit about a shovel hook. Okay. Now, for this, use a target that's approximately rib solar plexus height, like so. Okay. Now, from the on guard position, I'm going to torque in and fire just straight into the glove. Okay, notice my position here. Notice that the body went into the glove. It's very important. If done correctly, this is a very powerful blow. Now, like I said before, either one of these shots can be fired off the lead hand or the rear hand. The structure of the punch is pretty much the same either way. Alright, in the next sequence I'll demonstrate Jeet Kune Do's use of the palm as a striking weapon. In this sequence we're going to demonstrate Jeet Kune Do's use of the open hand, the palm. On all these strikes we fire basically with the base of the palm. That's the impact area, the base of the palm, right in here. Okay, we have what we refer to as a jiao palm, which is a circling palm, also referred to as a hooking palm. We have what we refer to as a side palm, which is here, like this. We have what we refer to as a vertical palm, which is here, like this. Okay, the jiao palm, or hooking palm, works like this. From this position, I torque my body in, and the palm circles slightly and then comes in and strikes through, like so. For the side palm, I thrust straight out in a slight upward direction, like so. For the vertical palm, I thrust straight out, snapping the hand back just before impact, like so. Okay, most of the time, palms are used as striking weapons during trapping sequences, okay? That's about the only time we use this. You wouldn't open up with a palm strike. We prefer the closed hand or the finger jab as an opening technique. Palm strikes fit very well in combination sequences during trapping. First, I'll demonstrate the use of the jiao, or the hooking palm, against a focus glove. Mark will join me now with a focus glove. We'll show this to you from a couple of angles. Okay, now, this strike hits very hard. Most people think, how could something just hooking in like that with an open hand, how could that be anything? How could it have any power? This is a very powerful blow. You penetrate, you strike through the target with it. It's much more than just a slap. It's an actual strike using the palm. Okay, I think when you see me hit this focus glove, and when you hear the impact, I think you'll realize that there is quite a bit of power behind this hooking palm, or jiao sao, as we refer to it. Notice the body mechanics. Notice the pivot on the ball of the rear foot. Notice the lead foot getting into it a little bit with a pivot. Notice the waist and the hips poking into the strike. Notice the shoulder moving in. Notice the extension of the arm, and the hand hits. Okay, now when the palm strikes, the arm should be bent. Never strike with a straight arm. The arm should be bent. This is a palm hook. Okay, do a few more here, and then we'll change angles and let you see it from another angle. Okay, now we'll change angles on it. Let you see it from another direction. Okay, like I said, it's much, much more than just a slap. Okay, Mark will take the glove off now, and I'll show you some of the uses for the palm that we don't normally practice on a focus glove. Okay, a lot of times in a trapping sequence, I may be here, I may be here, then I have a chance to fire that vertical palm or that side palm right into the head area, okay? Another use would be here. Side palm coming into the lower ribs, or if he turns around even further, into the kidneys. In a later tape that you'll see on chi sao, or sticking hands, you'll see these movements as they're applied from the sticking. But just to give you a basic idea, from here to here to here, from here to here to here. See? Okay? All right, now we insert a cut palm, which is here, then we slid, and we fired a hooking palm here. Okay? We can also go with the hooking palm directly from the position here. So chi sao is an excellent way to train this hooking palm. Okay, now just stand. Okay, the vertical palm is used to strike into the chin, a little closer, and to strike directly into the nose. This will smash the nose, break the nose very quickly, this vertical palm. The side palm is designed to fit the jawline, with the base of the palm firing right into the chin. Now, see what this does when I fire this? This drives his head back, exposing the throat for a terminal shot. Okay, I can go here, from here, and fire straight in with a rear hand straight punch. Okay? I can fire here during the trapping sequence, drive the head back, and then give a double cut palm here. See, like so. A little bit closer. Okay, center it up. All right, we're here, we're here, we're here. Okay, so there's more use of the palm in trapping. Side palm, driving the head back. See how when I come in, it drives the head back, exposing the throat and the neck to a double cut palm strike. Slow it down, here, 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 here. Okay? You'll see all this again in the tape on trapping. Okay, that's the basic use of the palm in Jeet Kune Do. In the next sequence, we'll cover the use of the fingers in Jeet Kune Do. In this sequence, we're going to demonstrate the use of the fingers in Jeet Kune Do. Besides using the fingers for grabbing, which we quite often do, using the fingers for certain movements like a Jeet Sao, which is a jerking hand, we also occasionally will strike with the fingers. You've already seen the finger jab, okay? You've already seen that. That's one of our primary strikes. Some secondary strikes that we occasionally have the opportunity to use, normally in a trapping sequence, would be a thumb hook and a claw hand. Now, the thumb hook uses the thumb to hook into the eye socket, okay? Into the eye socket, like so. It can also go into the throat, like so, firing right to the hollow of the throat. And occasionally, you can fire it into the nerve center located in the armpit, okay? That's a very painful strike, too. All right? The claw hand, the fingers are rigid and flexed. This strike is designed to tear, to take the eyes, the cheeks, the mouth, to fire into the throat and rip, or on occasion, firing the claw hand into the groin and tearing low with a claw. Okay, what we commonly refer to as groin grab and tear, which is not a pleasant experience by any means. Okay, Mark will join me now, and I'll demonstrate some of the uses for the thumb hook and the claw hand. A little closer. Okay, the thumb hook is designed to go right to the eyes. You can do a double thumb hook, raking backward. Okay, you can do a single thumb hook to turn the head for a strike to the jaw. Okay, so the thumb hook can be used doubly or singly. Show them this from a different angle so they get a better view of it. The thumb hooks directly into the eye, gouges and tears backward. Okay, other side, same thing. Directly into the eye, gouge, tear backward. Double, simply like so. Okay, an example of this would be if a punch comes in here, I may parry it and go right into that thumb hook. Okay, now when I do that, that's going to cause his head to turn sharply, exposing the jaw for, in this case, what would have been an overhand hook strike. Okay, so that's one use of the thumb hook. Just in a trapping sequence, just hook that eye with the thumb, and it'll cause the head to turn, create another opening, and it'll also disorient your opponent because he's just had a thumb inserted into his eye socket. Okay, the claw hand can be applied to the face, to the throat, and as I said earlier, to the groin, and I'm not actually going to apply that one because I don't want to do that any more than Mark wants me to do it to him. So the claw can come in here, it can come in here, it can come in here, see? Or, once again, down low. All right, as I said earlier, the thumb hook can occasionally be inserted right into the armpit here. Now you have the pectoral muscle here. Now what I do, I insert the thumb into the armpit and then squeeze right there. That's a very painful movement. Okay, now during the trapping sequence, I can do that. Let's say we're to fire a punch and I come here and I fire here. See, I can go right back up and hook in there and squeeze real hard. That's a very painful strike. But while I'm doing that, I can slide off of this and punch the head, see? Okay, so thumb hook and the claw are considered secondary weapons. They're not used that often. Another use for the claw is if I were to fire a back fist and he were to block it here, I could bring that claw in sort of like a pak sao or slapping hand. Whereas the pak sao would be here, the claw, the purpose of that is just to claw down the arm that he defended with. Okay, so the claw in a way can be used as sort of a trapping move. Alright, in the next sequence, we'll cover the use of the head in Jeet Kune. In this sequence, we're going to talk about the use of the head as a striking weapon, what's commonly referred to as a headbutt. Okay, now, when we fire a headbutt in Jeet Kune, just as in any other martial art, the striking area is going to be the forehead. That's the hardest part of the head. Okay? Now, we fire to weaker target areas. Never, I repeat, never, but forehead to forehead with someone. Whoever's got the hardest head is going to come out on top in that case, and neither one of you are going to be feeling too well. Okay, so use the forehead as your striking surface. As the targets, the nose, the temple, the ear, and the jaw hinge. Okay? Those areas. That's basically sole targets for the headbutt. Alright, now, the headbutt usually comes into play in the trapping or the grappling range, which are the closer fighting ranges. So the headbutt is definitely a close combat weapon. Alright, Mark will join me now, and I'll demonstrate some of the examples of the use of the headbutt. Okay, I may be here, I may go here, I may go here, and here, okay? So, we're here, we're here, we're here, we're here. Okay, now notice this time I dug down and I pulled the nose into my head, okay? Like so. Alright, if he were to fire a lead straight punch, I may parry here and go here, firing the headbutt right into the jaw area, okay? Like so. Alright, now, if he were to reach out as if to grab me, I may parry, shoot the fingers into the eyes, rake. As I rake, I trap the neck, boom, and I headbutt the nose. There. See? Okay? So, these are just some examples of how a headbutt can be used in combat. Primary targets, once again, closer. Nose, jaw, temple, ear. Okay? Nose, jaw, temple, ear. Okay? Those are the primary targets for the headbutt. That is a close combat range weapon. In the next sequence, I'll demonstrate the use of the forearms in Jeet Kune. In this sequence, we're going to demonstrate the use of the elbows, the forearms, and a movement that we refer to as a shoulder smash. Okay? A lot of people would never think of the inner forearm being a striking weapon. A lot of people would never think of the shoulder being a striking weapon. Most people are aware of the use of the elbow for striking. In this sequence, we're going to demonstrate Jeet Kune's use of the forearms, the elbows, and this shoulder smash technique. Okay, now, to start with, we're going to talk a little bit about the elbows. Okay, elbow smashes can be fired at a variety of angles. Okay, this is not only a lead hand weapon, but a rear weapon. See, you can work lead side or rear side. Okay, we're firing with the tip of the elbow. You're going with the last 2 or 3 inches of the elbow here. That's your striking surface. That's what you're working on. Unless it's a backward elbow, and then the elbow itself, the tricep elbow area for this 2 or 3 inch distance here is going to be your striking surface. Also, you can not only fire a backward elbow like so, but a downward elbow and a backward elbow from this angle. Okay? So the elbow is a very, very versatile striking tool. The frontal elbow area can be used striking like so. Okay? You can come up like so. You can come in on an angle like so, or up on an angle like so. So it's a very versatile weapon, the elbow. It's a very, very, very deadly striking tool. Many knockouts have been recorded in both competition and street combat situations with the use of the elbow. It's a very, very forceful striking tool. Okay, now, in this tape, we're going to concentrate on showing how the elbow would be used to the different parts of the body. Not so much how you would fire it into training equipment, because in the later tape on training equipment, you'll see how the elbow works against different types of training equipment, how you can train the elbow. The main purpose here is to show you the areas of the body that you strike with the elbow. In other words, the targets for the elbow strikes. Okay, so first we're going to cover a little bit of the elbow. Then I'm going to talk about the inner forearm strike. Okay, sometimes referred to as the inner elbow strike. A lot of people would not think that you could get very much power striking with this part of the arm, but you can, and I'll demonstrate that also. Okay, then we're going to talk a little bit about the shoulder smash. Okay, now all these things tie in real well with headbutts, which I just covered. So that's one reason that I waited till this point to cover the elbow, the inner forearm, and the shoulder smash, because all this ties in real well at that range, in the trapping range and the grappling range, where these weapons prevail. Okay, Mark will join me now, and we'll talk a little bit about the use of the elbow. Okay, elbow can be fired to the jaw, can be fired into the throat, can be fired into the sternum, solar plexus area, okay, can be fired into the ribs, okay, can be fired in an upward direction into the solar plexus, okay, it can be fired into the jaw area, can be fired upward into the chin, can be fired downward onto the chin, can be fired downward onto the sternum, and once again to the jaw. The elbow is a very, very versatile weapon, especially when you trap. Okay, so we're here, boom, see, we're here. Okay, let's say we go here, he blocks that, I strike here, boom, then I come here, then here, see? Okay, see how I used the circling palm to trap, the palm smash to drive him up, and then the elbow to come into the throat. See, so there you saw the elbow used in conjunction with several trapping tools and several close range weapons. Okay, let's say that he fires a rear hand punch, I pair it with a bone sow, trap it, and fire an elbow right into the face. Okay, by the same token, I could have parried here and fired it right into the sternum area. Okay, now from this point, I could go to a claw, which we discussed earlier, to the groin, or I could break the elbow over my shoulder and then strike here and then strike here. Several possible combinations available to you there. Okay, off of the thumb rake mentioned earlier, like so, the thumb hook, I could headbutt, then elbow, elbow. Okay? Against an initial strike on Mark's part, I could elbow right into the shoulder, right into the head of the deltoid, tearing up the shoulder. Okay, off of that, come right in to the jaw. Okay? All right, against a lead straight punch, once again, I can parry here, I can come in here. So we got here, here, here. Okay? Then I could go here, coming in like so. Then I could step through and come in here, like so. The elbow is a very devastating weapon. It's very useful. You should train it and work for versatility with the elbow. All right, now you notice when I fire an elbow strike, my hand remains open. In case you don't know why I keep an open hand, it's because a closed fist tightens up the forearm, puts a braking action on the tendons, and it's going to slow your strike down. Also, if the fist is closed tightly, it makes it that much more difficult to open the hand quickly to trap or grab or strike with an open hand blow. So, if you keep the hand open throughout the elbow smashes, the elbow moves quicker, you get a harder strike because you generate more speed and momentum with your strike. Also, you're much more set up to grab, trap, thumb hook, claw, finger jab, whatever you may want to do with that open hand technique. Okay, so that's an example of the use of the elbows in Jeet Kune. Now I'm going to talk to you a little bit about this inner forearm or inner elbow strike. A lot of people don't see where this can come in. Mark will join me now and I'll show you a little trick here that will give you an idea of the effectiveness of this. Okay, Mark, I want you to stand right there facing the camera. Okay, I'm going to use this inner elbow strike. And I'm just going to put it into Mark's shoulder here. Okay? Now, I'm going to hit him pretty hard. He's a big guy, he can take it, especially to this area. Most people can take a pretty hard strike, a pretty heavy strike to this area. Okay, so I'm going to put this inner elbow shot in. You watch how much power I get from this simple shot. Okay, ready? Okay? See that? Alright. Now, how would we use this? In combat, if I trap the head, I could pull it in, boom, and shoot that into the side of the head. Now, as the head comes off from that shooting motion, I trap it again and fire the elbow into it. Then I can go into other things. Now, you saw there a downward elbow, okay? A downward elbow. That's also a very effective technique. Okay, later on in a tape where you'll see the 5 ways of attack, you'll see how a lot of these things combine, like what you just saw. Things just combine and flow. That's the idea, to develop the flow with your techniques. Use your flowing energy, just flow smoothly from one thing right into the next. Okay, now, once again, the use of this, okay, if I'm here, I could fire here, I could fire here, and then trapping the head as he came off, I could knee him, see? Okay, so once again, this was used to strike into the neck or throat area to sort of send the head away so that I could retrap it and deliver a strike. So I might be here, 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 see? Like so. I might be here, here, see? Like so. Okay, that's a pretty devastating strike. Just pull him down, boom, then just cloud him right in the ear or the jaw hinge with that strike. So that's another way to use that strike. Okay, now, you heard me discuss earlier the use of the shoulder as a striking weapon. Most people would never think of that. Most people don't realize that the shoulder is a very effective striking tool, especially at the close range with these other weapons. Okay, let's say I'm here, I'm here, I'm here, boom, see? I trap the neck, a little closer, trap the neck, I shoot the shoulder up as I pull the head down, boom, breaking the nose with the shoulder. Now, watch this. What do you think might come from here? Boom, that inner forearm smash. Okay, so there's another application of that. All right, I might rake, headbutt, elbow, elbow, shoulder smash, inner forearm smash, knee smash. See? All that just flows. One thing right into the next. Okay? I can do this to either side. Okay? I can do it to the lead or to the rear. To the lead or to the rear. Okay? This is a very effective tool. It breaks the nose very quickly. You can bust the mouth with this. Okay? But after a sequence like what I demonstrated a while ago, chances are by the time you get to that shoulder smash, they're not going to know where they are or what hit them anyway. Okay, in the next sequence, we're going to go into some basic hand combinations to give you some ideas for training at home. In this sequence, we're going to demonstrate some of the basic striking combinations that you can work with the focus gloves. Okay, now, there's nothing to stop you from getting creative here and coming up with drills of your own. We're just going to show you some very basic drills, some of the simplest drills that we have to train you to put the hand combinations together and to train a certain flow into your movement. Okay, now, Mark will be assisting me with this, and we're going to work with the focus gloves. And like I said, this is just some very basic things that we do that will help you a great deal in sharpening your hand tools. Okay. Of course, you've already seen the single shots, the simple shots that are just, very simple. Okay, so we're going to start with this position right here. Okay, now this is what we call the right lead double glove feed position. Okay, so it's the right lead position. All right, now what I'm going to do, I'm going to start off with something real simple. I'm just going to fire a jab and a cross. Just jab, cross, jab, cross. Okay, you might say, well, why does this glove need to be here? Because you're not hitting it. Okay, Mark, turn and face the camera, right on the center, and show the position. Okay, now, you'll notice that this glove lines up with the edge of this glove. Okay, now, when I deliver these strikes, the jab, of course, will be coming in from here, and the cross will come in from here. Okay, the cross, or the rear straight punch, if I fire it too wide, I will run into this glove. So therefore, by having this glove here, it trains the economy of motion into the strike. Okay, return to position. Okay, so now we'll demonstrate the jab-cross combination. And if my cross flies wide, I hit this glove before I hit this one. So this trains my economy of motion. Okay? Alright, we'll start off kind of slow, let you see what it's all about, then we'll speed it up just a little bit for you. Notice my cover's up, my cover's up. I don't just let my hand drop while I'm doing this. This also trains the cover. It's very important to maintain your cover. Okay, so That's how the basic jab cross movement works. Okay, now, to train a hook, we have a drill that we do with the gloves in the same position. Now I measure off with my rear hand straight punch so that the lead glove, the center of the glove, is right at my elbow, like so. Okay, now, from this position, I work my tight hook. Notice how close this hook is. This is the range where I can work that cutting hook that cuts in. Remember me talking about the cutting hook? Okay, so this trains the tightness into the hook. So, I measure off here. From this position, I'm going to torque and fire the hook into the glove. This is the cutting hook. Okay, that's how we train the cutting hook. Okay, now, we have two shot combinations that we can work besides the jab cross. You can work jab hook. You can work cross hook. Okay, jab hook, fire your jab, half back, fire your hook. It'll look like this. Okay, cross hook will look like this. Okay, there's the cross hook. Okay, we can go jab, cross, hook. Okay, jab, cross, hook. Okay, notice the hook goes right from the cover position on the cross. Okay, see that? All right, now we're going to speed it up a little bit and let you see what it looks like. Okay, that's basic jab, cross, hook. Okay, now we can take the gloves and work positions like so. Okay, what this is for, this position would be low hook, high hook. Okay, so we got two short arc hooks. Low, then high. All right, now, the reason the arms are positioned like so is because when I hit this one, it can fly back without interfering with this one. Okay? It'll look like this. Okay, then we go to this position. Now we've got high hook, low hook. Once again, the reason we do this arm can fly away without interfering with this arm. Okay, high hook, low hook. Is it too low, everybody? Okay? That's a high hook, low hook combination. Okay, then you can go with a position like so and work low back fist, high back fist. Low, high. Then we can work high-low. Like so. Those are just some of the basic examples of some of the things that we can do with the focus gloves. In the next sequence, I'll demonstrate what is referred to as rotation striking. In this sequence, I'm going to discuss what is referred to as rotation hand striking. In Jeet Kune, the nucleus system is Wing Chun Kung Fu. The rotation hand striking methods that we use basically come from Wing Chun. Okay, we use underhand rotation and overhand rotation striking. Overhand rotation is the Chung Choi, or vertical fist. Underhand rotation is the Bill Jeet, or finger jab. Okay, I'm going to take a position where my feet are squared, neutral, slightly bent knees. Okay, now my hands are going to take the position of the classical Wing Chun on guard position. Okay, like so. All right, if you want to see this from the side, looks like this. Okay, now the lead hand is positioned so that the inner elbow bone is approximately the distance. Do this with your left hand. Insert the thumb into the sternum. Touch the little finger to the inner elbow bone. Okay? Now that's the approximate distance for that hand position. Okay, now this comes to rest just inside with the center of the palm approximately the same height as that inner elbow bone. So this is the position that you're looking for. Both hands right on the center line. Like so. Okay? The lead hand is going to be roughly at a 45-degree angle. Fingers are slightly separated. The thumb is tucked. Okay? The rear hand is going to be directly in front of the sternum, and the fingertips are going to point upward, like so. Okay, for overhand rotation, this is the movement that we use, like so. This is the Chung Choi, or vertical fist punch. Later on in a tape, you'll learn what's referred to as Jeet Chung Choi, which is the straight blast, or vertical fist blast. That's a very important hand striking method in Jeet Kune Do. Close the gap very quickly. These punches are rotating so fast when you come in that your opponent can do nothing to stop him. Any attempt to block, the hands are just beat down and you continue to pound on him. Okay, so this is the initial phase of training for Jeet Chung Choi, or the vertical fist blast. Proper form in straight punching on the center line is very important. That's why we use the rotation method to teach that proper form. Okay, looking at this from the side, you'll notice that when one fist strikes, the other fist has recovered to a position in front of the sternum and right at the elbow. Okay? Never do I pull back to here. It stops here. Okay? Now, after this one strikes, it drops, allowing this one to follow a straight line to the target, like so. Notice that the hands rotate on the center line. Therefore, the term rotation. Okay, when you train this, you need to be absolutely positive that you're doing it correct. because if you make a mistake in your training, from there on out, you could be in some serious trouble. So, some things that you want to concentrate on are what we refer to as passing and looping. You want to make sure that you don't pass. You want to make sure that you don't loop. Passing looks like this. The hands pass on the center line as opposed to rotating like they should. Looping, I'll show you from the side. It looks like this. The hands hammer into the target as opposed to thrusting into the target. Now when you train the rotation punching, you can work 2-shot burst, 3-shot burst, 4-shot bursts, or just multiple bursts, as many punches as you want to fire in succession. Important things to remember, once again, don't pass, don't loop, okay? Don't pass, don't loop. All right, with every punch, the elbow performs a movement that we refer to as seeking the center line, okay? See the elbow come in? The elbow is seeking the center line. That's very important, okay? So remember, when you fire these sequences of punches, the elbow should seek the center line, the fist should not be passing, nor should they be looping or hammering, okay? They should fire in a straight line at the target with good, smooth rotation. Okay, I'm going to fire off a few multiple shot bursts for you here and let you see what this would look like when fired with some speed. Okay, first we're just going to do some doubles. That means 2 punches each time, okay? Here we go. Okay, now I'll switch leads. Now my left hand leads. Okay, the position is identical to the right lead position, with the exception that the left hand is now forward, the right hand is now to the rear. Let you see it from the side, just like this. Okay? From here, we're going to fire some 2-shot bursts. Rear hand will be punching first, just as before. Okay? All right, now, show you that from the side so you can see what it looks like from the side. Notice the tightness of the pattern. Nothing is wasted. Also, when you do these drills, to keep from getting winded extremely quick, blow out as you punch. Okay? Blow out as you punch. That'll help a lot. Okay, now I'm going to fire just some continuous bursts. Okay, I think you can see where, when delivered full speed, this overhand rotation straight punch would be very difficult to deal with. You'll learn more about that later in the tape that covers the Jeet Kune Choi. Next, we're going to discuss underhand rotation. Underhand rotation is used when training the Bill Jeet, or finger jab. As you see now, the striking hand comes from underneath rather than over like before with the rotation punching. Now we're coming from underneath like so. Okay, things that you want to remember when training underhand rotation are not to pass, which would be here, and not to loop, which I'll show you from the side, which would be here. Make sure that your finger jabs thrust straight up into the target with smooth, even rotation. Let you see that from the front. You'll learn more about underhand rotation and the rotation finger jab in the tape on the entering. Okay, now I'll do a few bursts and then we'll end this particular sequence. Okay, there's a triple. There's a triple. There's 4. There's 4. There's a multiple shot burst. Okay, so you see these just flow smoothly, underhand rotation, coming right up into the target, no wasted motion, no wasted energy, no looping, no passing. So you have overhand rotation for the Chung Choi, underhand rotation for the Bill Jeet. That concludes this sequence. I'd like to thank you for joining us in Jeet Kune Do Complete Volume 3, Upper Body Tools. I hope you will continue to stay with us throughout the rest of the series. There will be 20 volumes in the series with many, many more to come. The next volume will cover lower body tools. I'm the Executive Director of the United States Jeet Kune Do Alliance. We're always open for dedicated new members. If you're interested in membership, write to me, Sifu Lamar M. Davis II, Executive Director, USJKDA, 267 West Valley Avenue, Suite number 223, Birmingham, Alabama, 35209. We will send you a membership application and some information on how to become a member and what you can expect from membership. We will also send you information on how you may order the rest of the tapes in this series, Jeet Kune Do Complete. Anytime you're in the Birmingham, Alabama area, feel free to drop by my school, the Fighting Dragons Chinese Martial Arts Academy, located in Alabaster, Alabama, which is just south of Birmingham. We always welcome guests, and they always leave happy that they dropped by. So, feel free to come by anytime. We're located at 107 First Avenue West, Alabaster, Alabama, 35007. If you're interested in talking to me about seminars, demonstrations, private or group instruction, you can call me at area code 205-664-5425. If no one is in the office at the time of your call, please feel free to leave a message. I hope you've enjoyed Jeet Kune Do Complete, Volume 3, Upper Body Tools, and I'll look forward to seeing you again in Volume 4, Lower Body Tools. Until then,